Hello, my lovely listeners and my lovely viewers. I would like to do something a little bit different today. And usually I talk about self development and self awareness and reflection and love, all the things that are to do with our emotions, our soul, anything that we can find troublesome, and everything that comes from our experience of living and how it is to be a human, what it means to be a human. And I today I wanted to actually read a poem that is just I came across this poem because I was doing some training on the voice and pronunciation and how we work with our voice, how we speak. And I think for me, as because I am talking to you and I use my voice a lot, it's very important that that my voice sounded real and authentic, but also was clear and had a good tone. And it's got all to do with I just keep looking for this poem that I'm going to read you in a second on my phone. So everything to do with voice and how I pronounce things so you can hear it clearly. So the trainer on this voice training used this particular poem, and the poem really resonated with me a lot, because this poem, it was written in 1850s, so over 150 years ago, and it was written by William Ernest Henley, and it's called Invictus. I would like to read the poem to you, and I would like you to think about this poem, and I tell you some of the things that resonated with me, and why I think the poem has so much to do with what we might be going through in today's world, even though it was written 150 years ago. And it's also about how art, poems, pictures, paintings, anything to do with art, what feelings it can bring with us, and what it can mean. It can mean everything to one person and something completely else to another person, and we can discover different meanings in art. And it can resonate with anything, any emotions that we just happen to go through now. And that's why doing art, painting, drawing, writing, and poetry to me the most, because poetic writing has got lots of empty spaces. By empty, I mean space that is available for you to fill it in with whatever you think. I believe that there is no wrong way to understand poetry, and however you understand it is fine. The same with the painting. Whatever the painting brings up for you, that's right, that's your emotion, and it's valid. And obviously the art, people who know art very well and understand where the painter, the artist, the poet, the writer, where he was coming from, which era the specific art was created. Obviously it then resonates with that because it carries those meanings. But it doesn't mean that whatever you are feeling while reading or looking at this art, whatever emotion is stirred within you, that this is not a correct emotion. I just remember that someone played this music for me or to me, and this person, and it was composed just without notes even, in someone's head. And when he played it to me, it just brought me back to my teenage years, to this specific period when I was going to university, so I might have been in my early 20s. And when he was playing this this composed piece. It was just on the piano. It was very sad. And then he later told me that it was actually created for his ex-girlfriend. He was creating this when he was feeling really sad and down after they had a breakup. Why he was telling me that's a different story, is about kind of telling your trauma someone that is maybe not ready to hear this. But anyway, I was taken to this moment on this bus stop in a cold November when there is almost winter and it's really dark and all the people are very sad. They're going to their work. It was just so gloom, and it made me really sad also for my younger self that I had to go through this. It wasn't a very pleasant period for me when I was young and going to this uni and didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and kind of being in circumstances that I didn't even think I could change. So, and this specific music brought me back to this moment, which was really weird. I didn't really even expect that. And I found myself with tears coming down my face while listening to this music. And why it happened like this, I had no idea. So this was a piece of art that had a specific effect on me, and I had kind of not similar, but I had this experience of I need to share this poem, and some of you might know this poem. And like I said, it's called Invictus, and it's about resilience. It's about facing bleak, difficult circumstances, facing some sort of tragedy and ups and downs of life that life brings to us, and still being strong, basically. This poem is full of very strong words, and I can explain some words later on, but let me just bring it up and read it to you, and then just talk a little bit about this and just see how you feel while listening to it. So, Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstances, I have not winced, not cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And this poem actually resonated even more, because after reading this and kind of thinking I need to share it with my audience, with you, I thought it's a very depressing poem. It talks about the night that covers me. So obviously, is it the dark night of the soul? Is that someone feels like someone is just it's on the boat, and it's swimming through the night, and the sea is very rough. The blackness stretches from pole to pole, so from one side of the earth to another. It's just very dark and dangerous. And however, then he talks about thanking, so being grateful to the gods that his soul is unconquerable, meaning that nothing bothers the soul, that the beatings, the black things, the things that come onto him still make his soul. He doesn't talk about his body, he talks about his soul, he talks about his fate, he talks about his spirit. They are unconquerable. He doesn't bow, meaning he is not he is resilient. He is not going under circumstances. He is not a victim. He is being strong. He recognizes that the circumstances, that everything that surrounds him is sad, basically, is everything that is not optimistic. And he said he didn't wince, he didn't cry. I am not saying we shouldn't wince or we shouldn't cry. It's not about that. Our body, to release it, is good to cry and we can wince. It's about the faith that our soul and our spirit and the faith that we are creating depends on us, not on the circumstance, not on the blackness that stretches from pole to pole, but on our self-belief and on our strengths. And the fear is not something that we let ourselves go with. So every two verse in this poem talks about some danger, sadness, fear, especially the bludgeonings of a chance. So bludgeonings means like repeatedly beating someone, and he talks about the head is bloody but unbowed, meaning obviously he feels the beating, but he's not bowing. He's not bowing to the fear. He's not letting the fear conquer him. And the more I read it and the more I talk to you about this, the more I feel the strength and the more I feel like it's my choice if I become a victim. It's my choice if I let myself bow to the fear. It's my choice that I don't let the circumstances overcome me. And the two last verses of I am the master of my fate, I mean, this is all I am talking about, of that we have this control. And it's not the sort of body control. It's not that we might not be feeling pain. We do feel pain. Obviously we have this body is very fragile. So we do feel pain, and body is given to us to feel pain, to feel joy, to feel happiness, right? All sorts of the emotions. But also we are the captain of the soul. We control how we feel. How we feel comes from our thoughts, from our behaviors. Then are our thoughts, then our feelings, then there are our behaviors. The things that we are come from inside of us, not from the outside of us. I mean, we know people who have everything around unhappy. Outside of them, the circumstances seem amazing, but because there is no balance, there is no feeling of they are the captains of their soul inside of them. Doesn't matter of the circumstances. And then we know people who came from the very dangerous, sad circumstances, who were the captains of their soul, who didn't let themselves to be conquered by the fear, and they succeeded, and they never bowed their head, meaning they never let the fear or anything that happened to them from the outside to make them smaller, to diminish their spirit. They still succeeded. They did whatever they had to do. And I imagine that you probably felt like this a lot. I received a very sad news last week, and I felt like, why am I even speaking? Why am I even trying to make people hopeful, to let them know that they have this control, that they are captains of their soul, that they have all the answer? If if things like if bad things happen all around, and I cannot help it, and I would like to help it, and it makes me so sad. And it kind of for a couple of days I had to take a breather. I had to recover mentally. It took a couple of days, and that's normal. And I cried, and I did everything I could to pick myself up. I did some cold plunges because I was in the area that there was sea, and I could go in the sea, and actually I went into a very cold sea. And when I came out and I dressed myself up, and I was sitting there on the beach, I cried, and I cried a lot, and it helped. So do whatever you need to do. That it does not mean that you give up. It does not mean that you're a victim. There is a specific way of helping yourself. There, obviously, you are a human, so whatever helps you. And this is what I talk about. And I had doubts, and I had lots of doubts, and because the circumstances, the happening, the experience were tough for me. That's how I received them. And I was having doubts of what's the point of all of that, what's the point of me talking if things like this, bad things happen. And then I guess somehow my spirit won again, and the bashing on my head, that's how it felt almost. It kind of lessened. It became less and less, and I integrated the pain. It still exists, and it still feels very rough. I integrated this pain. I can send good energy, and I can send good thoughts, and I'm thinking of other ways to kind of help. And I continue talking because I feel like this is what I came here to do. I came here to talk, and it's kind of stronger. And first, I am the captain of my soul, and I can control my faith in a way of I just do whatever there is a calling to do, and this is my calling. And sometimes it's tough, and sometimes I feel blocked. And I'm sure that's how you feel as well. Sometimes you probably feel blocked, or you definitely feel that if you are listening to me, you definitely feel that it's tough out there. The blackness from pole to pole, that's an amazing description of how you might feel sometimes. And I share sort of tips and things of how to overcome this as well for yourself, and ask yourself, reflect on the ways of how to best overcome this. But yes, I'm going to continue to do my calling, and I invite you to read this poem for yourself. Definitely you'll find it online. It's called Invictus again. And immerse yourself in art, in other art, books, poetry, and especially poetry, I think, for me, because it's got so many feelings, and obviously it can wake up so many feelings in you. But I'm sure you're already doing this with music, and see what this music and art and poetry, what it evokes in you, what it wakes up in you, because it's an amazing way of looking into yourself. And then maybe journaling, or maybe you want to create art yourself, because that's, I feel like, is a big release. So yeah, I hope you like this poem, and I speak to you soon. Bye bye.